So you guys come out and start the second half, march down the field and score. What was the discussion at halftime about what the mission was on that drive?
And kind of the same discussion we had in Syracuse. Came back executing. Felt like everything that was going on was self-inflicted, and we just executed a lot better in the second half. And I think we just did an overall good job in the game in the second half, just executing our plays and playing to the best of our ability.
You guys found success with the screen at Syracuse. You had more today. It was Davion instead of Juju. Kind of walk us through some of those screens and why they work.
I just think, it was a good time with Coach Kitchens, and our running backs do a good job, selling the run. So I think we just did a good job executing the play again, and then Bully did a great job showing up for us.
Jeremiah?
Gio, obviously, looking from the sideline, the defense had 9 sacks, forced some turnovers, things like that. How much of a lift does it give you having a defense that kind of, keeps you around, allows you to kind of hang around, and like in the second half, you guys did,
when our defense shows up like that, they've been showing up, the last couple of games, feels like. So for us, it's just a great job for us to feel like, hey, we got to respond for them. Just complimentary football. You're with those guys in the locker room every day, in the weight room every day. So you just want to show up for them. So just seeing them play so well and playing hard, you just want to do the same thing.
Gio, on the same note with the defense, we've talked a lot about Melkart over the last couple of weeks, not as much about Tyler. 7 sacks in the last 4 games, and then before that, he had no sacks in his career. Where did you sort of see the emergence of him come from, and how much is this in the making?
For me, when I got here in fall camp, Tyler was already killing. So for me, I was like, man, this guy's a dog. So, I think Tyler just kind of showed out. For me personally, he's been looking like a dog the whole time, and I think Melkart kind of same way. It's just good to see them, get started and get hot these last couple of games. I think Melkart's had 3 sacks the last 3 games, 3 sacks every 3 or something crazy. So he's been balling, and it's overall the whole defense has been doing a great job, and it comes with the interior as well. CJ Mims, X and Isaiah have been doing a great job doing twist games to get those guys one-on-one with the tackles.
Mike?
So Gio, have you guys talked about getting to bowl eligibility at all? I mean, you guys are 4-5, it's 3 games left, it's all in front of you. Have you had discussions about what you guys need to do, or is it just sort of one game at a time?
It's just one game at a time. For us, we're just worried about tomorrow. We got sprints and we got 30 squats. So for us, just doing good tomorrow and showing up is what we're worried about.
Jeremiah?
Hey, Gio, can you just talk about that touchdown pass to Jordan and what you saw in Florida?
I saw blitz 0 and I saw Jordan one-on-one. We've repped that all week in practice, and I just trusted him because he's been getting open all week. So kind of the same situation. Practice goes to, game day reality, and it worked out really good for us.
Pat?
Hey, Gio. Our offense was tough to come by in that first half. So how did you and the offense kind of just keep your poise and composure knowing that it's a 4-quarter game and obviously things didn't work out for you in the end? How are you able to kind of manage the game and stay with it?
I feel like the last couple of weeks, not just this week or last week, but the last 4 weeks, feel like everything's been struggling. We had to keep fighting. We've been down in games. So I think it just kind of came from those. We've been in the situation so many times that first half we just play our game, and the second half we just play our game, and we're just worried about showing up every play and executing.
Brian?
Hey, Gio, after the fumble in particular, but has there ever been a point at this season in which either Kitchens or Belichick, somebody's talked to you and said, one more series and we're going to max? Or has there ever been a conversation about, you guys got to get it done right now, or we're going to have to see what Max is going to do?
I think Max is a great player, and for me, I feel like he's always on my toes. Max has been a baller. When we got the fall camp, he was doing a great job as well. So for me, I feel like I have to execute every play. I'm not worried about, of course you can't be worried about, not turning the ball over, not making bad plays, just playing my game, but, just having to show up and be a good player, because that's the same thing at South. I had a great backup in Bishop who's playing at South now, and I think this, same situation where I just had to play good football. I have a great backup behind me. Don't want to call him a backup, Max is a great player, but,
But that hasn't been a conversation on the sidelines with you?
No, it hasn't been a conversation.
Adam?
Gio, we talked to you some about it at Syracuse too. What do you attribute the struggles in the first half as a group collectively to? What do you think is just not happening there to start these games?
Something we were talking about during the week. We're just starting slow on the offense. And we just got to get better executing. It feels everything's self-inflicted. I had a turnover. We're just not executing the run game as good as we should, and just those kind of situations. I think it sucks because it keeps turning on in the second half, but we need to have a full 4-quarter game because that's what we're going to need the next 3 weeks. And I just think that's the situation we're at.
And just a real quick follow-up, if you don't mind. What does the halftime regrouping look like for you guys? Are people in there screaming? Is it pretty calm? Take us in there and just what does it look like when you guys are trying to figure this thing out?
It's a team, right? There's team effort, but I think for us, it's just we've been there so many times. We're just kind of same conversation. Hey, it's on us. We got to execute in the second half. someone will speak up, some people, say certain things, but I think as a whole, everyone kind of has the same expectation of like showing up in the second half. So we just do a good job just being on the same page and showing up.
Got time for one or two more. Let's go to Ryan.
Gio, obviously they can't hit you in practice, but how much you have to keep your head on a swivel with Tyler and Melkart? Have you seen this kind of production in practice from him?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of times I'll drop back, throw a ball, and then look to my left, and I'm like, probably would have got that one off. Happened a couple of times, but our tackles do a great job blocking them in practice. So, I think seeing that in practice, they've been doing a great job in just executing their defense.
Last one for Shelby here.
I'm curious, I think it was Melkart recently said that just the defenses whole feels like they've had more trust over the last few weeks, just kind of getting to know each other and gelling. Would you say a similar thing for the offense maybe over the last few weeks? Again, just kind of talking about that poise at halftime.
Yeah. I think offensively, kind of the same thing. We just trust each other, getting to know each other. We had 70 new players coming after the spring, so just getting to know each other every week. You're still learning guys, not names, you show names by now, but more in the sense of just getting to know each other, how people react, how people do things, how people, how they react to bad plays, how they react to good plays. Just being a good leader overall, and just as a team, just meshing.
Would you say that's maybe again helped the confidence in the sense that coming out of the locker room, even just 3 points in the first half, I guess?
Yeah, I think we had a play today like that ball to ship for a touchdown. It was trust. We worked that. I've thrown that before he was out his break. Something I probably wouldn't have thrown in TCU because I wasn't as comfortable with it. So it's just situations like that where you just get comfortable with your guys practicing, and just shows up on game day.
Perfect. Good stuff, Gio.
Appreciate you.